Welcome to Corpse Club, the official podcast of DailyDead.com. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jonathan James, and today I'm joined by Derek Anderson, Tamika Jones, and special guest, Bede Jermyn. So we haven't had Tamika on for a little bit, and Tamika, we missed you. We really missed you. So this is kind of a Tamika episode. That's kind of how this episode's going to go because we haven't caught up in a while.
Now I feel nervous. My hands got sweaty.
So it's like I said, it's kind of a Tamika catch-up episode. I know you've seen, you weren't able to, join us for some of the episodes. And of course, that's okay. The whole format for Corpse Club is that some people are going to, jump in. Some people are going to drop off. We're going to have special guests. And so we're looking to hear what you have to say about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know we have some thoughts on Scream. We have plenty of other topics we're going to get into. But before we go any further, I did want to have Bede introduce himself a little bit. We're very excited to have him here. I will say that, it's a friend of Tamika, but also, someone who I have some great memories with, because when the pandemic first started, we were like clinging to life and to friendships through Zoom. And we had, we had some early Zoom meetups. I mean, Zoom's used all the time now. Obviously, before it wasn't. It's like, oh, this magical thing where we can all connect because, Skype would crash if you had too many people on video or audio. And we'd do movie watches. And so we had Bede for Slumber Party Massacre 2. And what was the other one, Bede? I can't remember.
I believe it was Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes, that was it. Yeah, and so we hadn't seen those movies in ages, so we got together, and obviously you're on the other side of the world, you're in Australia, but why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, and I know you have a podcast as well.
Well, I have quite a few, actually. So I'm a co-host of the Super Network, which is like this little mini network of different podcasts that my co-host, Super Marcy, and I co-host together. We have different varieties of ones. We have the regular show, which is Super Podcast, which we've been hosting together for about 13 years now.
Oh, wow.
And then we have some other shows as well. We've got the SYFY cast, which is our dissection into the Ozploit movement from the beginning till today. Like we're going from in release order. Then we have also the King Zone podcast, which is our Stephen King film and TV adaptation podcast. But we're probably I'm trying to think, what were the other shows? We have so many that it's hard to track on all of them. But the one in particular I am very fond of is the Tubi Tuesdays podcast, where Super Marcy and myself and our another co-host, Batch, and we sit down and pick a random film from Tubi and we watch and do an audio commentary for it. And we have quite a selection of great episodes, and it's definitely more sort of like watch-alongs where we just sort of banter and sort of like watch the film and we're not exactly sure what we're doing and just making this hilarity along the way.
That sounds really great. It's like we don't have Scott with us, but Scott is like our Tubi advocate. So I feel like you and him would get along really well. But it sounds like you have a ton of great podcasts. I mean, so many years. Like we've only been doing this for 4 years now. I can't imagine if we did this, almost triple. And we will, Derek and Tamika. We will.
Yeah, we will.
But yeah, and I'll make sure to include links when we post this for our listeners so they can check out, your podcast as well. And but before we get to Tubi, I do want to turn it over to Tamika because it is Tamika's podcast episode.
No.
Putting you on the spot. And so Tamika, you weren't able to make it. It's perfectly okay. I'm really not shaming. I know it sounds sarcastic now, but it's not. I promise. It's not. But I wanted to make sure that we got your thoughts on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because even though Derek and Brian and myself talked about it for almost the length of the movie on last week's episode, we know that a lot of people have a lot of thoughts. So I was curious. Obviously, you saw it. What did you think?
Okay. So in my defense, I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 on Netflix. I was prepared for the podcast, and then I had to celebrate my uncle's birthday.
And that was important. It was definitely more important than what we were doing.
No. If I could clone myself and be in both places, I would have, because I definitely have thoughts. Okay. I certainly didn't think that it was the worst, iteration. because I think at this point now we have 8, right? In total.
I believe so, yeah.
The 8th one. So I've seen worse. I personally don't like the sequel to, and I don't like Next Generation. Isn't that the one with
Matthew McConaughey
and Renee
Zellweger. It is. That is on the bottom of a lot of people's lists.
Yes.
So this ranks somewhere in the middle then?
Yes, I think so. I don't think that the film quite gets Leatherface. I hope that doesn't sound like pretentious, but I just feel like he wasn't as emotive, or like vocal. And this is supposed to be a direct sequel to that, I guess, like 50 years later, right?
Yeah, so it just didn't feel like it was the same character to you.
Yes, it felt like, and I get that. I know it's been a lot, 50 years is a long time. I understand that, but I feel like, your core personality is still there.
I mean, if anything, I think he's actually in better shape now in his 70s.
Which is wild if you think about that. Like, wait, what? He's supposed to be in his 70s?
Yeah, no, he's in great shape. I strive to. I was going to say I strive to be Leatherface, but no, I don't. We don't want that soundbite.
No, don't. But yeah, I agree with that. Him being in better shape because he's just like chucking like the chainsaw at people. That's actually smart. Instead of chasing after people, just you throw it, toss it.
If you got the strength.
Yeah.
That's how he stays in shape. It's a chainsaw tossing.
Yeah, chainsaw aerobics.
Yeah. Bede, have you seen Texas Chainsaw?
I still haven't yet. Mainly because I kind of want to rewatch the entire series.
Oh
beforehand.
wow!
Because a lot of the installments I've only seen once. Like I've seen the first film like a million times, like everyone else has. But a lot of the sequels I probably have seen maybe once or twice. I think the most I've seen of them is probably the remake, which I really like. But the rest like I said, I haven't seen that many. And especially because at the time when I saw, say, number 2 and also Next Generation, I saw those like when I was pretty young and I wasn't a fan of those ones at the time I saw them. Then over the years now, I'm kind of seeing more of an appreciation of them. So I kind of just want to go revisit those films to see if I still feel the same about them or whether my thoughts on them will change. So I kind of want to do that first before I head straight into the new one. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I've not seen all of them ever. I've seen a lot of them, but I haven't seen Next Generation. And I don't think I've seen all of 3. But I've seen the rest of them.
Okay.
Scream Factory has that new Blu-ray release too for Next Generation that came out a couple of years ago. So
I have it. It's still in.
Oh, there you go.
It's in my graveyard of just movies that haven't been opened. It's a sad pile. Derek, we say one day we'll get to it, and then a better movie comes along.
Time.
So Tamika,
is also true.
Did you have a favorite scene or standout scene from the movie?
Okay, now that I know that Bede hasn't seen it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say with spoiler warning. Sorry, with spoiler warning.
I'm not gonna pick. I'm not gonna pick the ending. That was what I was gonna mention.
The sunflower field meme.
Yes. And I love that so much. That sounds weird too. Like I love that so much for Leatherface, the memeing.
No.
But it's just funny. It's like, oh, peekaboo.
There's a playful side there.
I know. Yeah. It's like, okay, there's some personality there. All right. But I gotta say, since I can't pick the ending, I'll say the rave bus situation, like the rave that was going on in the bus, that was really cool. Like I feel so bad saying that, but it's just a movie. It's not real.
It's just a movie.
It's just a movie. It's not real.
Yeah, no, that was. Oh, you go ahead.
it was executed, like I thought, wonderfully. And like the colors, like I love that for some reason. Like when like a good atmosphere, you know? Like it's like the blue lighting or whatever. Like, oh, that's so
Yeah, that was
really good
definitely
70s.
definitely one of the standout scenes of the movie. Even if you don't like the movie overall, you got to at least appreciate what they went for, and that and a few of the others. But yeah, I know we don't want to spoil it. So you'd say then you were like 50-50 on the movie.
Yeah, it's not the worst. Certainly not. No, I would definitely put it in the middle of the franchise. Um, I get what it was trying to do, and I always appreciate a good try. Like even if it doesn't work out, because maybe I mean I don't know if they're going to do sequels, but like maybe they'll get another try, and then that one would be
Even better. Yeah, there you go. It did pretty well. It was like the number 2 watched movie on Netflix. So even though it wasn't really like promoted all that well and it was hard to find on Netflix, like a lot of people watched it.
Cow, number 2.
Yeah, millions of people watched it. What were you going to say, Derek?
Oh yeah, it does seem like I'm thinking there will be another one to this. I know there's nothing that's been initially announced yet, but yeah, just based on the numbers, the Netflix numbers, it seems like it's trending in that direction. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they continue this story or if they go a different direction with it. But I would like to see another, I guess, yeah, kind of like what they're doing with Halloween, see another installment in this and see what comes about from it, because without going into spoilers, there's definitely some room for things to happen.
Yeah, I want to see them take it in the same direction though as Halloween Kills. I want it to be so tonally different. I want to see like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I don't know. I want to see like, how sometimes there's like those international installments. I want to see certain characters go on trips, go to Europe.
Oh, okay. So like
I'm just kidding. We're going to get some hate mail being like,
Leatherface goes on vacation.
Leatherface does Europe. Yes.
Exactly. Okay. There you go. But I do want to turn it over to Bede, because I have to say I'm really interested about this. I'm really interested about the Tubi watching. And I think it's because there's so many random movies on there. So I know I'm putting you on the spot, but what would you say was like one of your most interesting or like favorite Tubi discoveries?
Ooh, it's definitely one that I literally watched again before even coming here on the podcast, and that is the 1990 film Night Killer, directed by Claudio Fragasso, who's best known for Troll 2. And he made this film the same year as that one. And like the figure is, this was our 16th episode of the show, and this was our co-host Batch's pick. Now, I'd never even heard of this film. I knew of Claudio Fragasso, but I'd never heard of this film. Actually, none of us watched the film before when we sat down to watch it. And we were just like sitting there like perplexed by what was happening, because this whole film is a complete what the fuck every 5 minutes. And you listen to that episode and our reactions are genuine, because we were just sitting there going like, what is going on? It was, and then it gets to the end and it's even more insane. And that's probably one of our favorite episodes we've done for the show, and probably our favorite movies we've done for the show, because that whole film is literally insane. Like, and it makes less sense every time I watch it.
Yeah, now we're gonna have to check this out. I'm gonna do some hunting. And while I have some dead air, when somebody else is talking, I'm gonna start digging into this and being like, I don't have Tubi, and I know I'm like probably the last holdout. So I mean, it's free, so like I can easily rectify this. So Night Killer, we'll have to look this up.
One of the things is with this show, to give the full Tubi experience to our audience, we don't cut out the ads that pop up during the movie. So we sit there and watch the ads and talk about the ads as they're playing. So, because I mean, awesome. Plus it's like a logistics nightmare just trying to edit out all those ads and everything.
That's
so we basically keep the ads in, but we give people timestamps of wherever they are watching it, on Tubi or a different source or on DVD or Blu-ray, and then they can pause it and restart the film when we're ready to go. But even this list, I think even if you haven't seen the movie or have no interest, you listen to the episode and you're just like enjoying the fact that the three of us are like going, what on earth are we watching right here?
So it's like, so is he like, okay, so obviously he's a night killer.
That's the funny thing. This movie's called Night Killer, and none of this whole movie from beginning to end takes place at night. Which
there was
is
one
on
thing.
brand, which is on brand for Claudio Fragasso, because if you watch Troll 2, there's a scene with the dad. It says, there's nobody around. There wouldn't be anyone around at this time of night. And it's still friggin' daylight outside. Like, right. It was like midday. So it's a complete on brand for this filmmaker. And the dialogue does not make any sense. A lot of it is quotable. Like, I'll just randomly quote even like certain things, or just how specific actors like deliver their lines. And it's amazing. And there's just so many weird little moments throughout all of it that just, like Troll 2, it's just like so bizarre. You just cannot stop watching. It's what I would recommend everyone to watch at, especially if you love crazy films, or just if you wanted to see like a more harder, like violent version of Troll 2, definitely watch Night Killer.
Okay. Yeah, no, I love getting these kinds of recommendations. So
and
we'll
it has a Texas Chainsaw Massacre like a link as well, because I believe in Italy it actually was released under the title The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's unbelievable, because they would do things like that a lot of the times. I mean, there's a Terminator 2, an Alien 2. There's the La Casa series, which are the sequels to Evil Dead, and there's many more of those. And those movies are they're all great in their own special way. It's an acquired taste, but it tastes good.
But one thing I do love about this film, and I got to bring this up because it's very important. Even though Claudio Fragasso wrote and directed this film, it actually has reshoots directed by Bruno Mattei.
Oh, wow.
Because Fragasso made this film and he wanted to make more of a psychological thriller. But when they sort of got the finished product, the producer's like, oh, this movie needs more gore.
Yeah.
So they got Bruno Mattei to come in and add more scenes with more gore. And the scenes make no sense whatsoever. You take them out of the film and they do not affect the story at all, especially because the killer in this film, he's wearing like this weird mask, and I'm going to spoil specific death. Like, he's wearing like this rubber clawed hand. Like, it's obviously rubber. You see it shake, and then it goes through people's chests out the other side in one go. And then you see next scenes and shots where there's no hole in that person's chest. Or he slashes a throat and there's barely a cut on that throat. It is amazing.
Do you think that's for like ratings? Like I don't know if there is a rating system. Yeah.
I would say it's just to add more gore, because Italian horror cinema was like huge in the 70s and 80s, and they probably thought, oh, this seems too tame. Let's throw some more gore in there.
Get Bruno in.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it here because Severin's got it. Yeah. So because I know the name sounds familiar to me, and so we would have definitely covered this at some point. But yeah, it was recently released with a new restoration. Yeah, and it's on Severin right now. I'm looking at some of the images of it. So yeah, this is definitely up my alley, and I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah, I even though I probably spoiled a little bit here and there.
Oh, that's okay.
But it's one of those films that's best to go in it without knowing anything about it, because that's what we did. And it just made the experience even better. Yeah. And like, this film kind of has an odd cast too, because the guy who originally played Doctor Strange in the 70s TV movie is in the lead.
Oh, wow.
And also the mum who gets killed at the start of Silent Night, Deadly Night, the original, is the main lead actress of this film.
Oh, whoa.
Okay. Won me over.
And her acting is amazing. Like, truly amazing.
I can feel the sarcasm.
There's a lot of like yarn to connect to the dots here.
It's almost, the acting is very much on par with the acting in Troll 2 throughout this whole film.
Oh, so good double feature.
Actually, it's funny because when I was watching it before jumping on here, one of the next movies that played right afterwards was Troll 2. So I would say, yeah, definitely do a Troll 2 Night Killer double feature. You'll have such an amazing time.
Yeah, and they also... Oh, you go ahead, Derek.
Oh, I'm just curious. Does Tubi, when you finish watching a movie, does it start playing another movie that it thinks you'll like?
Yeah, it usually does within about 20 seconds once the credits start. Like it has a whole selection. So you can pick whichever movie that pops up at the bottom. But it's always interesting to me, like the very first film that pops up, because sometimes it's either something that's in tune with the film that you just watch, or it's a completely random film that has nothing to do with what you watch, like a completely different genre and everything. And it is, I mean, the great thing about Tubi, like other than it being a free streaming service, is that you can spend on that whole app for hours just finding the most random things. Like even movies I've been wanting to see forever, I've found on Tubi.
The Tubi algorithm.
Yes, exactly. And it's just amazing.
Yeah, well, thanks for the pick. We, you know what? I'll put you on the spot again later because this was such a great one. I want to see what other Tubi gems that you've found. But I do want to turn it over to Derek for a minute because I know you have been watching the Day of the Dead TV series and we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, so this TV series, kind of very loosely based on the Day of the Dead movie from George A. Romero. It's really kind of only connected in name only, both in the title, and then a lot of characters are named after characters from Day of the Dead movie, including, of course, Bub and Rhodes and McDermott and all sorts of Easter eggs. But it's really its own thing, and it came out premiered in October of 2021 on the SYFY network. And kind of right around the time that Chucky premiered, the new Chucky series, so kind of got lost in the Chucky mania. But so I've been catching up on it. All 10 episodes aired from October to December, and so I was just sitting on the DVR, and I was like, I better get to this eventually. So I just kind of dove right in, and it's been really rather enjoyable. It's if you go in not expecting anything from the George Romero Day of the Dead, I think it's got a lot to enjoy. It's the first handful of episodes. The first 4 episodes are directed by Stephen Kostansky, who did Psycho Goreman and co-directed The Void. And so there's a lot of really good gore effects in this, because I know he has that effects background as well. So they definitely don't hold back in that department. And it's actually quite a bit more R-rated than I expected. I feel like Sci-Fi kind of allows their horror shows to push the envelope a little bit. So it's been a fun watch, and I'm just a couple episodes out of the end right now, and it's kind of your typical like small town is besieged by zombies and they're just trying to survive the day, but there's some interesting twists in there as well, that they try to do some new things with the zombie genre. That's kind of interesting.
I've only seen you go ahead, Tamika.
Oh no, sorry. We always end up speaking at the same time.
It has always.
Jinx.
True. No, I like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I didn't know that there was a Day of the Dead television series. So I'm just kind of like, this has been like promoted, or I just missed it.
It has even been promoted on Daily Dead and Corpse Club. I have to say it because I know our listeners would be like, it was on Corpse Club. But no, we did.
No, that's okay.
But to Derek's point though, well, one, there is so many movies and TV shows. It is easy to miss something. It feels like if you're offline for a day or a week, God forbid a week, you miss everything. And
True.
And then also it came out at the same time as Chucky. And so I know that for me too, like I saw the first 2 episodes of Day of the Dead, but then it was all about Chucky. So, but I'm glad you've been enjoying the show. And I don't know if there's a season 2. I think there's a rumor that there's going to be a season 2, but I don't think anything has been definitively announced yet.
No, I don't think so, but I'll be curious to see if they leave it open for that. I'm sure they could always just do like another set of characters and everything. But yeah, it's been interesting. It's like, for instance, headshots don't kill zombies in this universe. So and bites don't necessarily turn you. So it's kind of you can tell they're trying to like keep you on your toes a little bit with some of the rules that we're used to seeing in a zombie movie. So I'm curious how they're going to wrap it all up. But yeah, it's been fun though. So it's and some interesting kind of timely issues that they dive into too, with the politics of the town and that kind of thing, because it's all taking place on election day, of course. So it's there's a lot going on in addition to the zombie invasion, and then they kind of tie it all into that. So it's I'm curious what what else they'll put in there. But yeah, if you have the time, if you got 10 hours to spare, then dive right in after your Tubi double feature though.
Yes.
Okay. So headshots don't. Wow, that's
It's kind of like Return of the Dead though, right? Where like every piece, I don't know if it's every piece of the zombie, but that's what I think of, right? Like you cut off the hand still like comes after you. And I like that. It doesn't all have to be 100% Romero rules. And they play they play with those rules from time to time. Sometimes it works. So cool. Yeah. I mean, I know that some people have zombie fatigue and I get that, but I think just like, it's waves, right? Vampire, stuff is up and down from time to time. I expect zombies, will be, they were really popular years ago. I think they'll be really popular again, but I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, that's cool. And it
just give it 20 years and it'll be another zombie wave.
Exactly.
There you go.
Or like werewolves or like werepanthers or something.
Yeah. Now, Tamika, I'm going to turn it back to you because I know you saw, in talking about things that are kind of easy to miss or things that, or recent TV shows, I know you saw the woman in the house across the street from the girl in the window. And I've seen the first episode, and so I can't comment a whole lot about it, but I know you've seen it. So, what did you think about it? Is it worth me continuing and watching the whole thing?
I think so. I think that especially if you really enjoy like suspense, mystery type, films or television, like especially like whodunits.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's, in a loving way, kind of like parroting. Just nice. From the title alone. Yeah, for sure. Do you want to set up the story a little bit for our listeners who may not be familiar with it? Okay, so Kristen Bell from I know her from Veronica Mars, but she's like a recently divorced mother, and she kind of like, her personality gives like the nosy neighbor, and I given unfortunately my issues with my nosy neighbor, she was effectively annoying, and but that annoyance like kind of in a way pays off for her on the show. But so she has I don't know if I should say that, that's a spoiler, but she's a mom, and she's dealing with some of her own personal issues, and then she witnesses what she believes to be a murder that happens to a woman across the street, in the house across the street from her, and like no one, of course, gaslight city, no one believes her, and they're like, oh, you're just troubled, you got a lot going on in your in your mind, go to therapy, which is a good thing, you should go to therapy. And I really enjoy how every episode there's something like tense that happens, because how, and you normally in a show, it's like the the meat of it is like in the beginning to kind of suck you in to the story,
Yeah.
and then the payoff, towards the end, and then in the middle there's a lot of filler going on. Like, oh, I could have gone without this. But I didn't feel like that. Every episode is like, oh my gosh, oh God, okay, I gotta watch the next one. Lord, what's gonna happen? And I love that. I love that so much. And also, Michael Ealy is in it, and I know him from a show called The Following.
Yeah, he's great.
May he rest. May The Following rest in peace.
Yeah.
So I thought, like they both do like a really good job of, like kind of keeping up, the tension and kind of keeping you engaged. But it's also supposed to be funny, so I do want to say that there is a lot of like lightheartedness on the show, and I personally wasn't really like offended by any of it. Like it's clearly trying to parody, like parody. Is that a word?
No, yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, okay. Because
You made
I
me
always
choke.
say that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, but like I just happened to see someone talking about the show today on Twitter, and they mentioned that they felt like, you shouldn't, they felt like they were making fun of like her like trauma, because she like drinks a lot, and there's a lot of like comedic elements around her character. But I don't think so. I think it's more, instead of it's not making fun, it's very lighthearted, it's not mean spirited, and I think it's trying to parody like the beats, like the tropes and like the themes of like not Rear Window, because that movie is almost perfect.
But it inspired countless clones over the years.
And that's what it's, the clones.
The Girl in the Window, the Disturbia. There's many more.
Disturbia. I forgot. With Shia LaBeouf, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, there's all kinds of ones. But I'm glad you liked it. I don't know if Bede or if Derek, you've had a chance to see it.
I haven't had a chance to yet. I've been meaning to, because it does sound like it's very much right up my alley. And I've seen a lot of the films that series does poke fun at. Mm-hmm. And it'd be interesting to kind of see how that sort of plays out in a kind of a TV mini series kind of format. So it definitely has me intrigued, but I just need to get around to watching it.
That is a story of my life. I watch more movies than I do shows, just because of 10-hour commitment. But Tamika, have you seen The Flight Attendant with Kaylee Cuoco? That's on HBO Max. It's not a parody, but it is a murder mystery, and there is a good bit of comedy. So if you haven't seen The Flight Attendant, I think that came out last year. They already announced the second season, but I would recommend it. I think you might like it.
Oh, thank you. Because I've been meaning, again, staying on brand. I've been meaning to watch it, because I do have HBO Max and I spend a lot of time on there.
I think it's worth your time to check that out. So yeah, check it out and let me know what you think.
So it's like, is it like a lot of episodes, or is
no,
it's
like
9, 10?
Yeah, it's like 8 episodes. It goes by quick. It's really good. I think you'll like it.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to catch up on, I don't know if you've seen it. I'm taking us off topic, sort of, but we're still talking TV. It's on topic. I wanted to see, even though I haven't seen the last episode of the previous season or the last season, I want to see the new season of Dexter. Have you seen it?
Okay. So, I have a love-hate relationship with Dexter.
I know you do, but have you seen the new season?
So no. So I have not watched the new season.
Oh,
but
no.
I heard things though.
Oh no. I've heard good things, but am I listening to the wrong people? So we were going to give it a try. We were going to try to step back into the world of Dexter, because I really did like the first, I like the first
those are the
4
first, like,
seasons.
5
Yeah, 4 or
seasons.
5.
Yeah.
Then
Everything
after,
but the
then-
last season.
oh no, then that's not correct. I think the last 2 seasons I could eject. Once, basically. Oh no, I don't want to spoil anything. There's.
I know.
As I'm looking at Derek, as I'm like, I can't say it. Anyway, there's a storyline that kind of ends to me in an organic way, where it's like, this looks like the natural end point for the show, and the show keeps on going multiple seasons, kind of like Supernatural, and I kind of feel similarly like that. But
Hurtful, Jonathan.
You and I almost every.
We drag Supernatural into this every.
I think it's been happening for, I don't know, however many years, but every year Tamika and I will, well, because Tamika, you were my portal to Supernatural when I left it. I was like, how's it doing? How's it going? How's everything in Supernatural world? I remember us talking about Dexter. Well, I'm like, I can't do it anymore. You were my portal to Dexter too. That's what I wanted to know.
I know. I feel like I'm the like common denominator.
And that's okay. No, you have loyalty to these shows. You love them. I respect it. And it's some people, like I said, they prefer the TV format. And I know you watch some of the CW stuff. Derek does. Like, the two of you seem to, more than maybe myself and seeming like Brian and Scott, we just don't watch TV as much. We tend to gravitate more towards movies. And so that's why you're my lifeline. You're my lifeline to the TV world.
Well, Supernatural has sailed off into the sunset now.
For now, pretty soon.
15 good seasons.
There might be a reboot, though, down the line. It could always be like they're bringing everything else back.
And they're doing a prequel series.
Oh, they are. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
On the parents, but I know they're doing the pilot for it at least, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
That gets 15 seasons or not, but
yeah, Sean and Mary Winchester.
There you go. But we're gonna move off of TV because I'm just really interested about what's on Tubi. So giving me some.
I have to go on my list, because basically I have to look back at my old episodes of ones that we have done.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a mixture of like movies that people obviously would have heard of, and others that people have never even heard of before. Like, I think one movie that I think this is gonna be our next episode. Like, when we're recording tomorrow, at least hopefully it'll be online by the time this episode drops. We're thinking of doing Ninja Terminator, which is this 80s ninja movie. I watched the entire thing, and it is the most, and I watched it, I paid attention. I had no idea what was going on. There was like 4 or 5 different plots going on at the same time throughout this whole movie. And and then I was like, why is this so convoluted? And then I found out why, because it's literally 3 separate films stitched together as one.
Wait, what was it called?
It's called Ninja Terminator.
Terminator, yeah.
Now, I actually
together.
Yeah, I actually think I saw this. I let this run late one night while I was working. I don't know where I would have seen it, though, if this was like on Amazon, but I'm looking at I pulled it up right now, and I'm like, I saw this movie like not too long ago, like within the last few years. I let it run, and it did not keep my attention.
Yeah, like, I've just sat there and like, I have what is going on? Like, there's so much going on. And like I said, it is literally 3 separate films stitched together, because the director of it, he found this kind of South Korean film from the 70s. He wanted to do his own version. He reshot and new scenes, edited into the film, and then investors were like, we like what we're seeing, but can we have English actors in it? So he did another round of reshoots with 2 older white actors playing ninjas, and inserted that into the film. And when you kind of watch it, a lot of the characters, especially when some characters are meant to be working for each other, they never interact at all in the same scene. And one of the bad guys in the film, and this cracks me up every time I see him, he has a blonde wig that looks exactly like He-Man's hair.
Oh, I've seen it. Yep, that is exactly it.
And I just fall over laughing every time I see this guy on screen. I just can't handle it.
He-Man's wig.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
just
it's exactly. It looks like
he's got a
He-Man's
suit
hair.
on and He-Man's hair.
But there's a lot of great stuff. Like even just looking over some of the episodes we've done now, we've done like, like I said, well-known ones like we've done Intruder, the classic slasher film.
Yeah.
We did a film called Day of the Animals, which is the infamous 70s killer animal film where Leslie Nielsen fights a bear.
Yeah,
literally
I've
with
seen
his
that
bare
one.
hands. But I think one of our favorite ones, at least for me anyway, is we did the Thanksgiving horror film Blood Rage.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That movie is legit awesome, and mainly because, again, it's so weird, so out there, and it also has probably one of the great performances of all time with Louise Lasser as the mum. Her performance is amazing because half the time she's either on a rotary phone talking, trying to get a hold of her boyfriend, vacuuming the house, drinking red wine, and just eating pecan pie. That's what, and just like screaming and yelling through the phone. And it is amazing.
Yeah, that one's picked up a lot of popularity. I know I think Arrow released a Blu-ray of it. I think Joe Bob for one of his marathons did it, so a lot of people got that for a first watch. And yeah, that's been picking up a lot of new fans.
Yeah, well, that's the thing though, because we, I mean, I already seen the movie before, prior to that screen, like that episode, and it was just funny though. We did that movie, and then all of a sudden, like every kind of podcast or website was covering Blood Rage, so we kind of got it in there a little bit at the beginning before the whole trend started. But then again, we see certain episodes of shows where we tackle a movie, and then not long after that, it starts to pick up some kind of traction. Like, I'm not saying we're the ones who have probably caused it, but it's just such a weird, funny thing that when it happens, like I think another one we did was a sci-fi comedy musical called Voyage of the Rock Aliens that has Pierce Adora and Craig Sheffer. And this film is wild. It is completely, utterly wild. And then all of a sudden, a couple places picked up How Did This Get Made did an episode on this movie just recently. And that is a movie, like, again, I kept seeing it on Tubi because it kept popping up everywhere I was going on Tubi. I'm like, sounds interesting, I'll watch it. And that movie just blew me away. It is like nothing I've ever seen before. And we kind of surmised that this movie, which came out in 1984, must be is the most influential film ever made, because there are things in this movie that you could see this happening, that would happen in cinema in years after. So I'm not saying that this film started it, but I'm a little convinced that it might have.
Or it was at least way ahead of its time.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like way ahead of its time. And,
what was the name of the movie again? Because now I want to see if I've seen this one.
Voyage of the Rock Aliens. It's hard to describe. It's kind of a mixture of these aliens who come to Earth searching for rock and roll, and they basically get caught up in this small town where it's kind of has a mixture of that kind of 50s like kind of feel, but it also but it's set in the 80s, and it also has that kind of beach party movie type of feel to it as well. And this film, like, it blew my mind because I was watching it, I was reading so much more into it, is that it's directed by the filmmaker behind not one but two Clint Eastwood films.
Yeah, I'm looking at this.
I believe it was The Enforcer?
James Fargo. Yeah,
James Fargo. And he also directed Eddie, I think it was Every Which Way But Loose. He also directed.
Oh, wow. The orangutan one.
And this film was, the cinematographer of it was Gil Taylor, and he shot A Hard Day's Night, Doctor Strangelove, and Star Wars.
Wow.
And somehow all these talented people, and Ruth Gordon from Rosemary's Baby is in this film as the sheriff. And Michael Berryman is in this movie as well.
All roads lead to Voyage of the Rock Aliens.
And also that there's a robot in this film who's voiced by Peter Cullen, aka Optimus Prime from the Transformers franchise. He voiced this character. It sounds exactly like Optimus Prime just before the series even came out.
I'm looking at this thing now. I can't believe I haven't seen it. I'm going to be picking this up. It's on Amazon.
It is kind of amazing, and it has a brilliant soundtrack. And like the first music number in the film was basically a music video they added into the film because it tested better than the actual movie itself. So they just threw it into the movie, and it has like Pierce Adora teaming up with Jermaine Jackson to sing this awesome song. And I'm kind of obsessed with the song. It's like all the songs like are all like this movie. It's wild. Like it's one that I've been recommending a lot of people to check out because it is literally insane, but it's so joyful and entertaining.
Yeah, I'll be watching it this weekend for sure. Like I'm going to be watching it this weekend. It's shot to the top of my list. There's very few movies that would do that.
It's a good one to watch with friends as well. Like it's a good party movie to sit down and watch with people. Yeah, and I think my wife, Christy, is going to love this. I'm looking at this right now. I'm like, this is her kind of movie. Like, this is the kind of movie that keeps her awake. If it's like, it has to be really strange. And I know it's not the same kind of movie, but like, it has to, like, Society kept her awake. And I was like, okay, well, like, yeah. So it has to be something out there. And this is, and she loves musicals. So I feel like this is the right kind of out there. Oh, yeah. I would say if you're going to do a double feature with this one, this would make the perfect double feature with Tammy and the T-Rex. And that's a good one.
Oh, nice.
That's
another good one.
The tones are kind of similar, but I think Voyage of the Rock Aliens is even more insane than Tammy and the T-Rex. And I love Tammy and the T-Rex. So yeah, Tammy and the T-Rex is definitely worth, for any of our listeners who haven't seen it, it's worth your time. Make sure you check out there's an R-rated cut. That's the one you got to watch. But yeah, exactly. Tammy and the T-Rex is good stuff. Well, you have given us so many great recommendations. So thank you. I'm taking notes. And so we're going to have to, we'll have to have you on to dive more into the world of Tubi and get Scott here. But you know, the thing is, if we put you and Scott together, the podcast may never end. Exactly. We may just have to record you for hours and chop it up into different episodes. But Tamika, I know with St. Patrick's Day coming up, I know that there's a movie you had seen that you wanted to talk about and recommend. I know we did an episode, maybe it was last year, 2 years ago in this time vortex. I can't remember exactly, but we talked Leprechaun because I hadn't really watched this series and I had watched the first one. I'm like, wow, this was actually much better than I was expecting. So I'm looking forward to digging into Leprechaun ahead of St. Patrick's Day, but I know that's not what we're going to be talking about. You have another movie that you wanted to talk about. Why don't you tell our listeners?
Oh, well, I figured I would try to stay away from the Leprechaun movies because I know like everybody is just going to power watch those.
Yeah, exactly.
But speaking of sci-fi, okay. I really enjoy this movie, and it is I think it was distributed by Lionsgate, but I saw it on SYFY, and this is back in like 2012, 2013, I think. But it's called Red Clover. Okay, so it's Billy Zane. He's a sheriff in this town in Massachusetts, okay? And his daughter, Karen, she is hunting with her grandfather in the woods, and she ends up like finding like a red clover. So she plucks it, and not knowing that she's unleashing this like evil leprechaun from like hundreds of years ago that got banished, by the townspeople. And because it killed a bunch of people in the town on St. Patrick's Day. So the movie is basically like starts like on like in like the recent times on St. Patrick's Day. And so this evil leprechaun gets unleashed on the town. I'm trying to think of it's like Kenning, Massachusetts or something like that. I rewatched this recently. And I gotta say, it's very sci-fi-ish, if you know what I mean by that. when I say that. But I swear it's so worth it. It's got great kills. I mean, really great kills. I don't know what they used for like the intestines and stuff, maybe like sausages. I don't know. But it looked very realistic. I wondered sometimes. And the leprechaun looks so cool. It's such a cool design. It's not like a guy with like red hair and a beard and a hat. And, it's like really, it reminds me of kind of more of like a the creature from the Black Lagoonish kind of look.
Yeah. I've seen pictures of it. I haven't seen the movie, but it looks like it could have been something out of like Pan's Labyrinth or something like that.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it's comedic. So if you can't really do straight horror, it's horror comedy. There's a lot of levity in the story, and again, if you love Billy Zane like I do, this is a good one because I miss him. I don't really see him in much anymore. And yeah, no, I can't say that. That would be a spoiler. But there's a kill in this movie that, how did I not expect that? Because it was such a layup. It's like, okay, like here's a clue. Here we go. Bloop. And then I just completely missed it, which is kind of nice because when it happens, it's like, oh, my heart hurts.
Yeah, this was an After Dark original, as I'm kind of looking this up right now. It came out in like 2013, 2012, depending on when it was or where it was released. And you can watch it on Amazon. I mean, there are probably other places, whether it might be on Tubi, I don't know. But I'm looking on Amazon. I see you can rent it.
It's on Pluto TV too.
Oh,
and
cool.
That's free too.
There you go. Yeah, or you can rent it on HD for $3.99. If you like it so much you want to watch it yearly, you can buy it for $5.99. So yeah, I see it here. But yeah, I'm always looking for good festive picks. There's not obviously the go-to, as you mentioned, is Leprechaun, and there's not a ton of some holidays don't have a lot of good picks. Like now for Thanksgiving we mentioned Blood Rage, so it's nice that there are some movies which are now being anchored to holidays, which are worth watching. So we have one more from you, Tamika. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then of course there's really good like Irish horror, but that's like kind of different because that's not like really like St. Patrick's Day related.
Yeah.
But I agree. Why isn't there more? Because there's Mother's Day, there's graduation, there's like Thanksgiving. Why not skip St. Patrick's Day?
And maybe there is one, and it's obscure. But yeah, I think the big thing is just if there's a holiday that's not packed, like don't make a Christmas horror movie, just make one on a very obscure holiday, and it's yours. Basically, it's yours. Just name it. It doesn't have to be great. It can be good. You can start there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what day, but I'll find a holiday.
I know. I was thinking in my mind while you were talking. Like,
I don't have one.
Your holiday.
I don't have one yet, but I'll find one. Well, thank you very much, Tamika, for your pick, and thank you for asking Bede to come and join us, and thank you for joining us. It was great to to hear from you and to get your picks, and we hope to have you on again soon because, like I said, we'd love to hear more about your experiences in the land of Tubi.
Indeed. Thank you very much for inviting me on. It was an absolute pleasure, and I had a great time.
Hey.
So just talking about Tubi and all the other things that I love to do for many of my podcasts. I'll definitely love to talk about them again in future episodes, even the other shows I do as well. But no, I had a blast. It was a pleasure.
No, that's great. I'm so glad. For our listeners, if they want to be able to listen to any of your podcasts, follow you on Twitter, where's the best way they can keep up with you and what you're doing?
Yeah, well, if they want to just find me personally, I am on Twitter at twitter.com/Bede Jermyn, or you can follow me on Letterboxd at letterboxd/Bede Jermyn. But in terms of all Super Network related stuff, you can find all of our podcasts on all podcast streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, I think Google Play also has us as well. So we're everywhere. So you can pretty much easy to find all of our shows. And like I said, we have the Super Podcast, we have the Ozploitcast, Tubi Tuesdays, the King Zone. I forgot the other show that we also do, which is Podcasters of Horror, which is our film and TV anthology podcast. So we've been doing, that's a
Ooh.
podcast that goes into film and horror anthology films and TV shows. So we did,
Nice.
like, it was more of a Mick Garris retrospective for a while because we did all the episodes of Masters of Horror, then all the episodes of Fear Itself, and we just did an episode on Nightmare Cinema. So we did that. And then future episodes are going to be on different anthology films and also other TV shows. And I think we're going to also every 2 months tackle all the seasons of Channel Zero. So
Ooh, fun.
Nice.
So those are future episodes. So you can find all of those on the Super Network. Like I said, we have different feeds for all those shows, but we also have it all on the one feed, which is the Super Network. So like I said, you can find them on all podcast streaming services everywhere.
Wonderful.
And of course, you can find the website at supermarsty.com. So you can check us out there too.
Okay, yeah, we'll make sure to include links on our posts as well. And like I said, it was great to have you here. We want to thank Brian, our engineer, for helping us out every episode. And as always, we want to thank our listeners, including those of you who have signed up for a Corpse Club membership. Make sure to visit corpseclub.com to check out all of our episodes. You can also sign up to become a member. We have Corpse Club shirts and pins and membership card. So don't forget to check us out. You can rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Every rating and review really helps, and you can find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and all of your favorite podcast providers. If you want to get in touch, you can reach out anytime. We're at contact@corpseclub.com. On Twitter, we're at Daily Dead News. We're at Corpse Club. And on Instagram and Facebook, we're under Corpse Club as well. Thanks again for listening. And until next time, stay scary.